I just want to invest in people that really want to be the best that they can be. It's Todd Scrima and Jim Reed and Robyn LaVassaur coming at you with our little monthly podcast. This is meant for realtors and home builders and insurance people that send us business. But honestly, anyone could listen to this. Your kids could listen to it and it'd be great. So the title is Disciplines of an Entrepreneur. I will give you some opening comments around this. So when I think about being a business person or a salesperson, I think it's really hard. And I think it's hard because there's think of skill sets as a graph or as a big circle. There's about 55 slices that you got to be pretty good at, right? So if this is not an easy topic, we're going to give you a few, but you could talk about 200 of them, right? So,
you know what it's like, Todd?
Huh?
You know what it's like? I ran track, right? So you know what it's like? It's like there's a sprinter, right? There's a shot putter, a high jumper, and then there's a decathlete.
The what?
A decathlete. 10 events. It's the best number one athlete in the world, right? On the Wheaties box. You got to be good at 10 different events. That's what being an entrepreneur is.
Good analogy.
So you talk about the statistics. Last time I looked it up, it was 88% of businesses fail within 3 years. 88%. That's crazy, right? So we'll talk about some of these things. Jimmie, give us one. Let's do one, and we'll go around a couple of times.
So for me, it was one that took me the longest to get good at. I remember a couple stories around it. My dad was an HR guy at IBM. So growing up, he was the director of a pretty big facility for HR. So he dealt with people. And I'm like, HR, what's that? But I remember my dad on a Friday night coming home from work late, and he came in, didn't talk, and he's laid down on the couch, and my mom put her finger up like this to her lips. I remember this like it was yesterday. It made my brother like, uh-oh, something's wrong. And my dad's laid down on the couch, and my mom brought him like a wet rag, and he laid down, and he had his fingers like this, and he laid there. And he was still there when we ate dinner. He didn't get up to eat. And the next morning, we were at breakfast, and I went, Dad, are you okay? He said, yeah. So what's wrong? He said, I had to say goodbye to a bunch of my friends yesterday. I'm like, later on, as I got older, I realized what he meant was he had to lay off a bunch of people. So it tore him up. And so for me, it's still, I'm almost tearing up right now thinking about 3 years ago in January when I had to do that. And it's when I decided to become a master of profit and loss statement. So if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you really got to spend time becoming really good at a profit and loss statement. It is the number one killer, I think, of businesses is cash flow and finding mentorship or whatever and really learning, because being an accountant, that's not my thing. But I forced myself to be really good at a profit and loss, understanding costs, understanding return on investment. I mean, there are people who get 4 to 8 year degrees in this topic, but if you're an entrepreneur, guys, don't put your head in the sand on that one, because that's dope.
Yeah, we could all go off on that one. That's a good one. Okay, that's like 50 stories in my head right now. Robyn, what's one of yours?
I love that, Jimmie. I think that the profit and loss, it's sometimes people, I think a lot of entrepreneurs get into something over the passion of what they want to create, right? They're going after something that they're passionate about, but the money piece is a skill, right? Like we always say, money doesn't make you better or worse as a human, but it is a tool, and you have to learn how to use the tool. And that's a tool, and it's a requirement of the business to continue to work. So it's such a good one, Jimmie. I think for me, one of the things that has really helped me as an entrepreneur is actually to always pretend that you do have a boss. I think one of the risks of being an entrepreneur is that you are the boss, and that almost feels like you have arrived. And I think if we have a mindset of nobody's going to tell me what to do, or I can start work whenever I want, or I can spend money however I want, we have this huge risk to the business overall, because we might not be seeking right counsel. We might not be willing to put ourselves in check around it. And that's when things can spiral out of control, right? I always say I'm my own worst enemy. If I want to make something a mess, by golly, I hand it to myself and then I'm in trouble. And so I think it's really important that you always, whether you seek that mentorship or that you have a boss, I think pretending that you have a boss even is something that you really need to do for yourself, of what are your non-negotiables in your business, and how are you going to hold yourself accountable to those things.
Ooh. That's a good one. That's
why I wanted to become an entrepreneur, Robyn, so I didn't have a boss. Someday I got to be my own boss. That's pretty tough. It's true, though.
Oh, so great. So I've got one that I don't hear people talk about much, and I'll tell you a quick story. So when I turned 16, I grew up in Redding, California, and it's about 3 hours north of Sacramento. It gets really hot there, and my car didn't have air conditioning, so my dad decided he owned a vending machine sales company, so he sold vending machines. He decided to send me out and door knock for 3 months during my sprightly years of 16 years old, and go try and sell vending machines door to door in a suit. And I would come home every single night, and he would ask me how it went, and would ask me what I said and all these things. And I ended that 3 months, I didn't make a single sale. And he didn't say this as directly as I'm going to, but he did. He said, "Son, your problem is you don't know how to sell," which how I view that today is I didn't know how to influence. And I have spent many years being coached, reading books, listening to podcasts. Robyn, you took us to Amplify, which is a 2.5 days about influence 3 months ago. I have studied that subject more than maybe any other except for financial, and still need a lot of work. But when I look at it, like I was coaching someone yesterday. I visited one of my branches a week ago, and I had him on the phone coaching him yesterday, and I said, "Bud, your environment that you've created is extremely sterile. It's like walking
What's
into
that? What's that mean? Yeah, what's that mean, sterile? Tell me more about that.
There's no emotion." I said, "Bud, there's no emotion."
Like the walls are white, there's nothing hanging on them?
Yeah, no. The office is very professional, but the tone of the office, like I'm like,
like you're not allowed to have fun and goof around and be real. You got too much business.
Call people out, have fun, do competitions, be loud, be soft. Like I'm really working on them, and it's a lack of awareness. Like I said, Bud, you can't influence and lead people that way. Their results are going to stay mediocre because your tone is very mediocre. Like there's no rewards, there's no discipline, there's no rah-rah, there's no let's go make some sales calls. Like it's sterile, it's so low influence. And that's
boring.
Well, you think about, okay, I have a service that I want to provide to somebody. Entrepreneurs generally have an idea or a service or something tangible that they want to get to somebody. If you're in sales, right, you're normally, brokering that product. And if you're a realtor, for instance, we work with a lot of realtors, obviously, in our industry. They're trying to help somebody buy a home or sell a home. That's ultimately the goal. If you are not influential, now that doesn't mean, I think that influence sometimes is a word, Todd, that people see as manipulation. And that's, I want to be sure that people are hearing that's not the case at all. It's really inspiration, right? It's getting people to move in a direction that really is what is probably the best idea. That maybe people are afraid to buy into or untrusting. And if you're not willing to influence, if you're not excited about them buying a house, how in the world are they going to be excited about buying a house? If we're not excited about delivering a loan to somebody, why in the world would somebody be excited about getting a home loan, right? And so I think that influence does require, and I think a word that goes with influence is passion, right? I think passion is something that attaches to that well.
Yeah, we've all been to a Rapport Leader 1, and that's a class for 2.5 days. They teach you to be super, super passionate. And it's like, that's one of the main teachings. It's like, let the beast out. Like,
let it out.
If you care about something, say it, right? It's like shaking people. Jimmie, what's another one for you?
Well, the second one I have is, I have a third one to sneak in at the end, but, we're talking about, I'm for sure going to sneak it in. But so this one seems silly because we're talking, this is going out to builders and realtors and loan officers and people in our real estate community and industry. And the truth is, Todd, other than builders, we don't build anything, right? It's not ours. We didn't make it, but we're selling it. So an hour a day of outbound sales calls. Like, it's the craziest thing to me that I'm even just saying 1 hour, because it should be more like 4. But 1 hour a day of on the phone, because it's a combination of effective and efficient. Don't got to get in my car. Don't got to set an appointment. Don't got to spend money on gas. The most effective and efficient sales tool there is, period, is the phone. And don't play the game of how fast I can get off the phone. Play the game, how long can I stay on the phone with this person? Make them hang up and make an hour of outbound sales calls a day. When you choose to do that, as in our industry, the rest will fall in line. Yeah, it's fun. Got to make it fun.
I love it.
What do you think, Robyn? What do you think stops people from making outbound sales calls? What do you think stops them?
It's really interesting. I think that, I think it's a few things in my mind. I think they assume that people know what they do, why they do it, and that they would come to them if they needed it. I think that's a mental block, that we think that our customer, whatever industry that we're in, understands, hey, you're Jim Reed, the loan officer. If I need a lead, if I need a loan, I'm calling Jim Reed, the loan officer, right? And our egos want us to believe that. And not even ego, right? It's just the way that our brain works. We think that that's how people hold on to things. And one of the things that I realized is we're not that special, and people actually need reminders and to feel connected to something that they do. And so, it's interesting. I always see people on Facebook who have 10 realtors that are their friends. And I always think to myself, I wonder how they're going to choose which realtor they use if they ever do something with real estate.
Totally.
And I will tell you that outbound sales call that you're talking about right now, and the other problem with it is people think, I don't know what to say. Well, you should know what to say just in taking care of people, right? In general. Hey, Jimmie, how you doing? How are things been? How's the house? Or have you still thought about buying a house? Whatever it may be, people don't think they know what to say. And that's where that passion comes in, because if you're passionate about what you're providing to them, then you can talk about it. That's easy. And then I think the other last fear with it is, assumption, fear of what to say, and then rejection. Right? What if somebody's mean to me? What if they hang up? What if they don't want to talk to me? What
Get used to it. Get used to it or get another job. That's what I say.
That's entrepreneurship, right? You see it all the time. That's why people that are high money makers, how many times does somebody try out for a team or try out to, get a radio deal or a music contract or a modeling contract? They all talk about the journey of rejection before they get the reward, right? And I think that is the idea of entrepreneurial.
Oh, you're killing me right now. My sons think they're just going to be good at stuff.
Yes.
It doesn't just happen.
No.
Your golf swing, breaking 80 for the first time, it doesn't just happen. You got to put the work in. Anyways, that's my two.
Something in for my head coach, Jim. I got all my students the last 2 weeks, and I'm going to continue doing this until I see their numbers up. They do mini Circus, which for those who don't know is 100 calls in 1 day, every 2 weeks. 100 calls in 1 day.
100 outbound calls in 1 day. I like it.
Yeah. So, and I just coached my 2 groups who did it yesterday, and they had some huge breakthroughs. They're like, and they all 6 that I spoke to yesterday, 100% fear about doing it, 100% loved it. Shocking to me.
Yeah, you're talking about momentum. The hardest thing is getting started. After you're started, it's easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Robyn, give me one more juicy one.
I think that, as we talk about the business piece of it, is find a need, fill a need, right? Find a need, fill a need. That'll stop you from, that'll encourage you to want to make 100 calls, and sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to go in asking them for the business, buy my product, or, list your house, or I don't want to go in with my own agenda. And here's my advice. Don't go in asking questions about their life, about their plans, about their future, about their present, about what's going on in their world. And when you put that customer first, you will uncover things that you potentially can help with. And maybe at that moment, it's not real estate or lending or whatever product you're selling, but it's something that you can add value back to their life. And when you're finding a need and filling a need, you're always going to be fulfilled.
Ooh. I'm ready to make some sales calls. Wrap this up.
We could go on and on about coaching and developing people, but to me, I think the simplest metaphor is like I just joined Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I just had my interview yesterday, and I'm going to mentor a little boy. And the lady in the interview said, "Why are you doing this?" And I said, and I hope this does not offend anyone because that's not the point. I told her, I can tell when grown men have not had a father almost immediately. I can also tell when someone is in business and they don't know how to execute at a higher level and make good money. They have never been coached. They've never been mentored. Mm-hmm. So it's someone has to teach you these things, guys, and you'll do great. So obviously the quality of coach has a lot to do with that.
Well, but Todd, you're right in the fact that, and I've always said this, and then we'll kick it to Jimmie. We spend our whole life being mentored and coached, if you will, between parenting, whatever teacher atmosphere that you're in. Generally, you've got some sort of, most kids have some sort of interaction with an adult who, is helping them run faster, dribble the basketball, do something and telling them how to do things. And then we get to 18 and it all kind of stops. Right. And then we go, hey, I have this great idea. I want to go open a business. And we're really not born with these skills. We might have some of the talents, but you really do need that other piece of somebody not only teaching you, but also willing to hold you accountable and tell you the truth. And I think that's the magic sauce of a coach as well.
Yeah. And guys, in our company, we're not selling coaching here. We coach all of our salespeople in our company. Jim heads that department, but we're not saying this because we're selling coaching. We don't do that. But so I just wanted to say that so people didn't think, I bet you they're saying that because they're selling coaching. Here comes the close,
Yeah. I've never seen a basketball team without a coach. Never seen a track team without a coach.
Oh, I know. Jimmie called me yesterday. He's had one game with his coach and his son. He's undefeated. I got it.
It's for sure the coaching, not the
Jimmie, close us out with the secret.
Yeah, well, two things. The secret to being a really good coach, you guys want to know what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Really, really good players.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So the secret sauce. Lots of people survey their clients. Survey your team often. Survey your team members. Survey the people that work for you. Survey them often, and be able to take criticism.
Aha.
That is the secret. As an entrepreneur, you're only as good as the people you have. We're talking about team. We're talking about coaching. You're only as good as the people you have. I'm only as good as my team members. And I got a brand new team member, and she's amazing, and I want it to stay that way. So I'm going to ask her all the time, what can we do better? How are we treating you? And make her feel listened to and loved, and then she will do that for my clients. So that's a big secret. Little sprinkles on the cake.
Yes, and all those things are like little gems, right? Like how do you serve your client? Your main client is your employee. So how do you serve them at a higher level? That's awesome. So guys, I want to brag just for a second. Last year, out of $8 billion in loans, 99.85% of every loan that was submitted to our underwriting department got approved, which means you get paid more commissions, right? We're pretty good at doing loans. One other thing, quick brag, we survey every client at closing. Our average rating out of 65,000 clients was 4.9 out of 5 points.
Wow.
I don't know if I can get us to 5. A year ago was 4.7, which I thought we'd never trump. So 4.9 out of 5 stars, wow. 65,000 people. So guys, send us your loans. We're really good at it. We're really good at it. Not kind of good, we're really good. And we'll make sure that they close on time and that you get paid and they're super, super overly happy so that they will send you another $10, $20, $30, $40,000 in commissions because they're so happy with your overall team. Okay. Thanks for listening, guys. Thank you, Jim and Robyn. Go out and make it a great month, guys.
See ya.